The man has been brutally spat out from the darkness that surrounds the shores of our reality. Sprawled among the debris of fantasies and delusions, he finds himself back on solid ground. Such an arrival cannot help but leave its mark. His thoughts are scrambled, disjointed, and yet his sense of purpose is undiminished. He knows it doesn't matter how he got here. It only matters that he has come to fight a decisive battle in Night Springs. Another man might be shocked to find himself near Night Springs, and indeed to find the town in Arizona as opposed to any other place it might be in. But for the champion of light, the obvious taint of corruption he senses here is of far greater interest. Somewhere within the earth, space itself has been pierced, and from the dark depths runs a steady flow of monsters. The man recognizes the hand of his sinister double in this. The tanker trailer, parked by the pump jack in flagrant violation of any number of safety guidelines and statutes, suggests a solution to the problem, if he can find a way to make it explode and close the breach. A malevolent spirit, a speck of mobile darkness, a poltergeist. Its existence is one of rage and hostility, and its very presence turns ordinary objects into deadly projectiles. The light is an abomination to the enemy. In this case, it tears itself in two in an effort to avoid it, leaving each half smaller and weaker than the whole. And yet, there is strength in numbers. And there you have it. A glimpse of what we have in store, a mere taste of the chills and thrills hidden in our outlandish story. There's much more for you to experience in Night Springs. How unfortunate that her capacity for unquestioning belief ran out when faced with the warning that could have saved her life. Emma Sloan, an innocent victim of his dark half. More collateral damage in the ongoing war. Damned by forces beyond her control, as much as by her own actions. The scene, traces of violence, a callous midnight snack, a room key left carelessly behind. The man recognizes the enemy's handiwork. Dead, tortured, dressed in clothes that bore the name of a local observatory. A slim lead, but solid enough. It stirs something deep in his mind. He knows where to go now. A location, keys, meager clues, and yet enough for a man whose instincts have been honed by a constant struggle for sanity and survival. Hot on the heels of his quarry, the champion of light forges on to see the stars. An observatory, a place for a man to witness the magnificence of the universe and feel his insignificance in the cosmic scale of things. But such insights are not what the champion of light is looking for. He has come to find a weapon, a printout of a signal that had its origins somewhere much further away than the mere distance between stars. As a clue, it's not much. As a weapon, it appears to be even less. And yet, it provides a roadmap for the man to follow, a course that will lead him to a place where he may confront his enemy and, perhaps, eventually, triumph. The drive-in. Once the site of lurid celluloid fantasies shared by enthusiastic crowds from the privacy of their own automobiles, it's now the site of an art exhibition. And yet, it's the search for closure rather than culture that brings the champion of light here. He will find that such a goal may be even more elusive than he thinks. The champion of light can feel the change in atmosphere. Suddenly, it's almost as if he can sense the future he's hurtling towards. But there is none. It's as if a gaping void yawns before him, creeping closer with each passing second. Existence itself trembles, caught between what must be and what could be. The fragment of the strange signal from beyond is heavy in his pocket. He knows it for what it is, a weapon that can change what will be. It's incomplete, but it's all he has. Again he enters the world, but now he sees the trap for what it is, a maze that loops back into itself. He's stuck in it, unable to significantly deviate from the path, and yet there's hope. The signal holds the key to his escape, and retribution. Under certain conditions, reality is soft and malleable. The champion of light knows this, and he has come prepared. He now knows that the signal comes not from space, but from himself, a weapon from beyond. He has written a future of his own, one that contradicts the diabolical trap the Herald of Darkness has laid for him. If he can match the details, reality will follow suit. But for that, he needs to survive long enough to complete the signal. History repeats itself. Again, space ruptures. Again, shadowy evil pours out. The dominoes are falling, one by one. The solution to the problem is there, as before. The elusive yet ever-present memory of her own fate haunts Emma Sloan and fills her with dread. It is that very same fear that makes her again spurn the warnings and run toward that same death. Had she not been so afraid of her impending doom, she might have avoided it. The irony goes unappreciated. Emma Sloan, dead again. A death that should have been avoided, he muses. And yet he feels the inexorable pull of his own fate. The champion of light knew he would find the dead man here. Foreknowledge makes the discovery no less bitter. It's said that nobody knows what the future might bring, but for this man, it's no longer entirely true. A weaker man might simply give up, but the champion of light is an expert on destiny. Sometimes the puppet and puppeteer can be one and the same. Mount Redtooth, a jagged piece of rock jutting out of the Arizona landscape, its top littered with man-made eyes that stare without hesitation into the endless depths of space. Tonight, the champion of light will depend on them to pick out a message from the ether. Another printout, another signal fragment, another step. The message is still not complete, but it's another piece of the weapon he has built against his adversary. Mere words on a piece of paper they may be, but in the right hands, they will hold back the darkness, or so the champion of light desperately hopes. Another printout. The last time the man came to the drive-in, it did not end well. He hopes to avoid that fate this time. He hopes that what he has brought with him to this place is enough. The champion of light knows that the time itself is about to end, at least for him. Seconds seem to flutter as they tick by, each one more uncertain of their own existence than the last. He braces himself, collects his courage. He's almost at that point. He can feel the dead end rushing towards him from a darkness that's not quite here, not yet. But he can feel its oppressive presence, permeating the very air he breathes. But there is time to act. Incomplete or not, he has the weapon. He can feel another reality, a future, nearby, eager to take form. Each time he gets a little closer. Each time another detail falls into place. Now the trap works against the Herald of Darkness. If the champion of light can survive, if he can maintain. Right on cue, bubbling to the surface from untold depths. The horrors come. The solution to the problem they pose is, of course, at hand. But that makes the danger no less serious. They say that the coward dies 1,000 deaths, but the valiant taste death but once. Emma Sloan, twice dead, and yet a survivor of Night Springs. This death, unlike Emma Sloan's, cannot be prevented. It took place before the loop began. It is not within the Champion of Light's sphere of influence. The fate of countless individuals hangs in the balance, threatened by the machinations of the Herald of Darkness. And yet, for a moment, the Champion of Light breathes a little easier. He has saved one life. For this moment, it is enough. And soon, perhaps, he can put an end to this. Returning to the observatory for what he hopes is the final time, the man feels anticipation and dread in equal measure. Soon, he knows, he will have what he needs, and soon he will learn if it is enough. Again, the man feels himself being pulled forward, advancing through the path that has been laid out for him by forces beyond his control. In a strange way, he feels at ease. He is armed with his own words, and when the time comes, they will be enough, or they will not. For now, he's content to let the currents take him toward the final confrontation. Once more, we return to the drive-in. If he's aware of the absurdity of arming oneself with a few sentences and standing against a power that can pierce time itself, he doesn't show it. The man has his share of weaknesses, perhaps more, but cowardice is not among them. Again, the Champion of Light faces the void that is his future as he enters the final trap. He feels reality trembling around him, and his body responds in kind. This time, he mouths a silent vow. No more. No more. The air itself seems to vibrate. The Champion of Light is both the father and the midwife of the new reality that is almost here, hungrily awaiting birth. All he needs to do is change the details of the scene, disturb the equilibrium, push it past the breaking point, and the rest will snap into place.